The next morning, Amara returned to the riverbank, her heart pounding with both hope and fear. The old woman, Nyahunda, was waiting. Her presence seemed even more otherworldly in the early light, her robes catching the sun like dew on leaves. She greeted Amara with a knowing smile. "I see the fire in your eyes," Nyahunda said, "but fire alone is not enough. You must learn to wield it." Nyahunda's lessons began with simple but transformative skills. She taught Amara to purify water using herbs and charcoal, to create makeshift irrigation systems using bamboo, and to weave intricate fabrics that told the stories of their culture. She also shared wisdom about plants that could heal wounds, cure illnesses, or ease pain. "True strength lies in what you can do for others," Nyahunda reminded her. Amara struggled at first. Her fingers fumbled as she wove, her herbs withered when she tried to grow them, and her irrigation channels collapsed more than once. Each failure stung, especially when Nyahunda silently observed, her expression unreadable. "Again," the old woman would say each time. Months passed, and Amara's persistence began to bear fruit. The dry season hit Antua harder than ever that year, with fields wilting and the village well running dry. Amara approached the farmers with an idea she had learned from Nyahunda, a system to collect and store rainwater. Though skeptical at first, the farmers eventually agreed. Together, they built a simple but effective rainwater harvesting system. When the first rains came and filled the reservoirs, the villagers' gratitude was palpable. One farmer, Mazi Udo, clasped Amara's hands. "You've saved us, child. You're no longer just a girl in rags. You're a blessing." Amara's contributions didn't go unnoticed, but they weren't welcomed by everyone. Aunt Chisomo and her daughters, Ebube and Chika, grew increasingly resentful as the villagers began to praise Amara. "She's trying to make us look useless," Ebube complained one evening as they gathered in the courtyard. "Nonsense," Aunt Chisomo snapped, though her tight grip on her mortar betrayed her anger. "She thinks she's better than us. But mark my words, the villagers will see her for the fraud she is." Chika, the most cunning of the three, leaned in with a sly smile. "What if we give them a little push? All it takes is one mistake." One night, under the cover of darkness, Chika, along with Ebube, crept to the rainwater system Amara had built and sabotaged it, loosening and destroying the water irrigation channels with farm equipment they could find. The next morning, water spilled wastefully into the soil and panic spread among the villagers. Amara rushed to the site, her heart sinking. As she examined the damage, whispers rose in the crowd. "She doesn't know what she's doing," Chika said loudly, feigning concern. Maybe this was all just luck. But before the accusations could take root, Mazi Udo stepped forward. "Nonsense. Amara is the only reason we even have water. This damage wasn't her doing." The villagers rallied around Amara, repairing the system in record time. Chika's plan backfired and Aunt Chisomo's influence began to wane. As months turned into years, Amara's impact on Antua grew. She introduced new farming techniques that doubled the harvest, organized weaving cooperatives for the women, and taught the children how to read and write using simple lessons she devised with Nyahunda's guidance. Her vibrant fabrics became sought after in neighboring villages, bringing trade and prosperity to Entua. One evening, as the villagers gathered to celebrate the harvest, Amara stood quietly at the edge of the crowd. Aunt Chisomo approached her, her face unreadable. "I don't know how you've done it," Chisomo said, her voice low. "But it seems the village is better because of you." Amara looked at her aunt, searching for sincerity. "I only wanted to help," she said simply. Chisomo nodded once and walked away without another word. It wasn't an apology, but it was a start. Word of Amara's accomplishments reached King Abba himself. Known for his wisdom and interest in the welfare of his people, the king summoned her to the palace. Amara spent days preparing, her hands trembling as she wove a fabric as a gift for the king, a tapestry depicting the struggles and triumphs of Entua. When she arrived at the palace, she was awestruck by its grandeur. King Abba, seated on a throne of carved ebony, greeted her warmly. "So, you are the young woman I've heard so much about," he said, his voice resonant. Amara knelt down before the king and presented her tapestry and spoke of her ideas, building better wells, creating communal gardens, and fostering trade through weaving. The king listened intently, his expression thoughtful. "You have a rare gift," he said finally. "Leadership born not from power, but from service. Ntua needs people like you." Amara's recognition by the king cemented her place in the village. Under her guidance, Ntua flourished. Children who had once been too poor to dream now attended lessons in the evenings. Women who had struggled to feed their families joined weaving groups and earned incomes. The fields bloomed, and traders from far-off lands marveled at Ntua's prosperity. Aunt Chisomo and her daughters could no longer deny Amara's success. Though they still harbored resentment, they began to treat her with grudging respect. One evening, as Amara sat around the fire, Aunt Chisomo apologized to her and spoke quietly. "You've done well, Amara. Better than I ever thought you could." Amara met her aunt's gaze and saw something she had never seen before: humility. "Thank you," she said softly. The years rolled on, and Amara's story became a legend. The villagers spoke of her as the girl who had risen from nothing to lead them to prosperity. On quiet nights, they said, you could still hear Nyahunda's melody by the river, calling dreamers to rise above their struggles and change their world. Amara, once the girl in rags, had become the light of Entua. And though her journey had been fraught with pain and hardship, she proved that even the smallest spark could illuminate the darkest night.